This
You can,
conference
yes.
will now be recorded.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Dr. Annette Cargioli. I am the founder and developer of a amazing emotional healing method called emotional polarity technique. And on, we give away 2 remote sessions every week, sometimes more. And if you're interested in being part of this and you would like to try out emotional polarity technique, you just private message me, or you can find us on the page Live EPT Sessions on Facebook, and you can message me there and say, hey, I'd like to have a free session. If you don't know what EPT is a completely different approach in emotional health care. It is not Reiki. It is not EFT. It is an approach that basically identifies, using your body as the cues, it identifies the unresolved conflicts that exist in your life that are now messing with you and not allowing you to have a really great life or to heal the things you need to heal. Those unresolved conflicts are things like your parents divorcing, or being in a car wreck, or somebody dying, or losing your favorite pet when you were 10, or watching your parents fight while you grew up. Those are the conflicts that nobody sat down and walked you through so that you could forgive in order to resolve the conflicts. So really, we call this a forgiveness session because it's about identifying the conflict and then resolving it by using forgiveness, which is the fastest way to resolve any conflict. Once you resolve a conflict, it changes how your body feels inside. It changes what you're able to do within relationships. It changes your pain level. It's just all around. There's a freedom that comes when you finish a story that is trying to finish itself from your past. So that's what we're going to do today. I have Lana, and you don't see her on camera right now because we were having some technical difficulties, but we decided to go ahead and do this using the auditory, just the phone method. So I'm going to be seen and I'm going to talk to her. She'll be able to see me as well, so she can do what I have her do in terms of body work or points or breathing. So hi, Lana, how are you? Lana, are you there? All right, let me see. Who's talking? Oh, Lana, you need to undo okay, perfect. Are you there, Lana?
Yes, I am. Hi, sorry about that. Having all
Perfect.
kinds of difficulties today.
I know. You know what? I am not a super tech person, so I completely understand, and I know how frustrating it is when it's not working right. Um, I'm probably the worst for that. But anyway, so what would you, now I know you're familiar with EPT because you have brought your mother into my office. Oh, are you still there?
I am here, yes.
Oh, that was just something driving by, right?
I'm not sure what it was.
Okay.
Sorry.
I didn't want to make sure it wasn't my feedback.
No.
Okay, so what would you like to work on today?
Oh gosh, where do I start? Um, okay. Um, I think what I would like to work on is I've been hurt many times in my life, and I felt last several years like my heart is locked in a safe, not to be hurt anymore. And I feel like I want to love more, but it seems to me like I can't
So it's
anymore.
so it's kind of like you've been through so many hurts that now you don't feel as open to starting anything new.
That's right. Yes, kind of like that. Like for example, um, I would love to have more love for my husband. He deserves more love from me, but I feel like I'm so guarded
Yeah.
that, and I'm aware of this. I want to open up, but it's like I lost that ability. I can't anymore.
Right. That it just feels like it's numb.
Exactly. Yes.
All right, well, that's what we'll work on then. That will be our focus. So to start, I know you don't have any magnets, but these are my magnet covers, which will act as my little props. So what I want you to do, if you had magnets, we'd use magnets. I'll throw in here that about 80% of what we do in emotional clarity technique is the same if you're with me or if you're remotely. So there's about 20% that is like not exactly the same because we're online.
Okay.
So in the meantime, we're going to start. So I'm just putting up these magnets for anybody who might have read the book and they're going, where's the magnets, to show them what we'd be doing. But what I want you to do, Lana, is put your hands on either side of your head. And
O-
then you're going to think about this frustration of your heart feeling numb or shut down, and how you would really love to love your husband and people in your life who matter more, but it's just you're not sensing it. You're not being able to open. So as you think about that, breathe in and squeeze your head together. So breathe in and squeeze together and relax. And breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And then you're going to put a hand on the front of your head and, take your hand. You won't have magnets, but I'm just holding them there. And on the back of your head, and you're going to raise your head toward the ceiling as you breathe in. So breathe in and lift, and breathe out. And breathe in and lift, and breathe out. And breathe in and lift, and breathe out. Okay. So that's just kind of a brain balancer. It also helps balance the energy from the brain to the body, because we're going to be looking to the body to help us determine what the conflicts are that need to be resolved, so that you feel, oh, it should come naturally that you just engage with people. But when hurt happens over and over, it becomes less of a natural thing. So I'm going to ask what stage of healing you're in. Well, I'm going to ask this. How good does it feel to be numbed? So that would be your subjective units of elation, which it's a 6. So it means that your body actually finds benefit to being shut down. I'm thinking it's because I feel safe. I feel protected. Nobody's going to hurt me. So then subjective units of distress that's an 8. So it means that even though I have some benefit or some good feeling, my brain has determined that it's good for me to be shut down or to remain shut down. I also feel distressed about the fact, and it's an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. I feel distressed about the fact that that when I want to love, it's not as easy as I want it to be. So that, and then stage of healing. Yeah, so it's stage 4, which is stuck. So there's 7 stages of healing that people are in, and that's kind of the place you're in the whole arc of your whole story. So where you're at is, and no matter where you're at in part of a story in your life, you're in one of those stages of healing. So stage 1 is denial. That is, everybody who's been hurt has trouble loving, and I shouldn't feel bad about it. Stage 2 is anger, and that's where I'm really kind of pissed off because I'd really like to have that closeness, and I can't. And then stage 3 is bargain. Bargain is where a person says, well, I will try doing this, or I will try doing that, or I'll have a drink, or I'll do something that will help me to make a difference here. And then when it doesn't, I feel like I've tried everything, and I just settle into the depression of, this is what I have to settle for, and this is just how my life's going to be, and there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm just going to move on, even though I feel very stuck here, and if I could change it in a second, I would. So that's depression, and that's kind of where you're at. You're at the wall where you've accepted this is just how it is. After depression is stage 4, which is acceptance, which says, I really can feel safer, and the actions I take to make myself love people starts to get a benefit instead of making me feel all that pain from the past. And then after acceptance is light emerging, where it becomes much more natural to do the thing that you couldn't do before. And you spontaneously love this person and they spontaneously love you back. And there's just a renewed sense of love and happiness in that relationship. And then you're in creation of new life. So where everything is completely different and you're never going back to where you were. So stage 4 is where you're at. So we're going to ask your body, and I'm using muscle testing. I also have a sound machine on my body that's called a Qigong. And the reason I have that on me is because I happen to believe that when you do remote work, it takes a toll on the practitioner's body because it takes a whole different level of energy to do remote work than when you're in person. And there's a little bit of artificialness about it. So I give myself Qigong energy right down on my solar plexus while I'm doing this work. So how many issues are there? First issue, yeah. And it's family, current, mom. So it's mom. So I want you to think about your mom, and then I'm looking for the emotion, and it's anger, mom's anger. So it's mom's anger. And then I'm going to ask, is there mom's anger. I'm just going to ask, is it mom's anger with dad? I got, mom's anger with dad. I thought maybe it would be mom's anger with me, but it's not. Mom's anger with dad. And I'm going to ask the original time you felt this, because I happen to know, after having worked with your mom, that she divorced your dad and he's already passed away. So this anger with dad isn't something that's actually going on. And normally I would go ahead and test that because I wouldn't necessarily know that, but I do know that about your mom. So I'm going ahead and asking, where's the original time? Conception to birth, birth to 5 to 10, age 5. Age 5. So at age 5, Lana felt mom's anger with dad. Do you know why?
Well, from her words, she told me that the family was not important to him. His friends were more important to him. He didn't spend enough time with the family. He
So
was always somewhere, so she was angry
so that would
about
be,
that.
so I'm going to say, so mom's anger. So if you, like as a 5-year-old looking back, why did you think that is why your mom was angry? Because his friends were more important than the family?
Yes.
Okay. Friends, I'm writing notes, more important than the family. And actually, when I muscle test, I get that is what you're carrying. So I carry mom's anger with dad because family was not important and friends are more important. Right. So let's see, I'm making myself a few notes here. All right. And is there any other emotions? No. So I need you to put a hand, let's see, anger. So you're going to put a hand, the palm of your hand over just under your right breast on your rib cage.
Okay.
And then the other hand you're going to put over your forehead like this.
Okay.
And this is, we're bringing up on your little brain computer screen my anger. I feel my mom's anger with dad because the family was not as important to him as his friends were. That there were people that were far more important, and that really made her feel angry and distant. So I need you to squeeze your hand together on your forehead as you breathe in. So breathe in and breathe out, and breathe in and breathe out, and breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Any other emotions? No other emotions. Yay! So it's this is part of the thing that's blocking you or numbing you up, is this sense of, I've been carrying my mom's anger probably to try to shore up the family relationship because you couldn't make her not be angry, so you just absorbed it. So let's see, phase 1, Phase one, phase two, yeah. So this also means, so it's phase two trauma, which means that you managed their conflict by disassociating. So you just behaved like a robot. You go through the motions, but you just don't get too connected, because then you'll have to feel her anger, and then it'll make you feel bad about your father and the whole family, and make you feel vulnerable as a 5-year-old. So you disconnect, which means phase one brain trauma is where a person is very hyper anxious trying to fix something. But then phase two is where the person just gives up and just checks out and disassociates and goes through the motions. And that is the numbing up that you're experiencing in your love relationships. But you learned to do it when you were 5. And it was the way you got through the situation. So
Interesting.
I need you to tap, like you're gonna like tap on your head like this. If I had magnets, I would put the magnets up there, but we can interfere with this patterning of your brain just saying, I'm gonna check out and go numb, by tapping in the brain, tapping on the head, which is immediately going to cause the brain to pay attention, because it doesn't know that you're not gonna do something really horrible, and it's got to keep you safe. So I need you to say, I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I can't love my mom
that I cannot love my mom
or be a mom
or be a mom
without feeling
without feeling
her anger
her anger
with my dad
with my dad
when I was 5,
when I was 5,
because she said his friends were more important than us.
because she said his friends were more important than us.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I had to support my mom
that I had to support my mom
by carrying her anger,
by carrying her anger,
and believing
and believing
that friends are more lovable than family.
that friends are more lovable than family.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that letting go of my mom's anger
that letting go of my mom's anger
would not be good for me or my family.
would not be good for me or my family.
And then breathe. I give my mom permission to forgive me
I give my mom permission to forgive me
for blaming her
for blaming her
for the dysfunction and numbness I feel
for dysfunction and numbness I feel
is necessary
is necessary
to be in a healthy family relationship.
to be in a healthy family relationship.
And then breathe. Well, that feels pretty good. Um, I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad.
No, I'm going to go back. I forgive my mom for accusing my dad
I forgive my mom for accusing my dad
of loving his friends more than he loved us,
for loving his friends more than he loved us,
when that may not have been true.
when that may not have been true.
And then breathe. Yeah, I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I can't love my family and people that matter
I can't love my family and people that matter
without automatically feeling my mother's anger,
without automatically feeling my mother's anger,
because she said dad loved friends more than family.
Because she said Dad loved friends more than family.
And then breathe. Yeah, I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to tear down my idol of loyalty
to tear down my idol of loyalty
to my mother's anger
to my mother's anger
and her story about Dad.
and her story about Dad.
I tear down that idol of loyalty,
I tear down that idol of loyalty,
and I'm no longer separated
and I'm not longer separated
from all the love
from all the love
my dad had for me
my dad had for me
and all the love
and all the love
I had for my dad.
I had for my dad.
Yeah, and then breathe. I give my dad permission
I give my dad permission
to forgive me
to forgive me
for believing
for believing
that I would hurt my mom
that I would hurt my mom
if I loved my dad
if I loved my dad
and and believed
and believed
that I mattered to him.
that I mattered to him.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I had to give up the love
I had to give up the love
that I had for my dad
that I had for my dad
because my mom was angry.
because my mom was angry.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I have to carry my mother's anger
I have to carry my mother's anger. I
so that
forgive I forgive myself.
Mhm.
Can we do it again?
I
I
forgive
forgive
myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I have to carry my mother's anger
I have to carry my mother's anger
so that I can love my dad.
so that I can love my dad.
So that maybe I can fix that anger and then love my dad.
So maybe I can fix that anger so that I can love my dad.
Yeah. That has to be fixed before I can love him
Yes, that has to be fixed before I can love him,
or before I can love anyone.
or before I can love anyone.
And then breathe. Yeah. I let go
I let go
of my mom's anger.
my mom's anger.
I forgive it
I forgive it
and I let go of being the person who has to fix it
and I let go of being the person who has to fix it
before I can fully open my heart and love my father
before I can fully open my heart and love my father
and and take in the love he has for me.
and take in the love he has for me.
And then breathe. I give myself permission,
I give myself permission,
accept
accept
without this loyalty to my mother
without this loyalty to my mother
and her anger,
and her anger.
I am free. I am free
I am free.
to bow to my dad
Bow to my dad
and to receive
and to receive
all the love,
all of the love,
all that he had for me as his child.
all that He had for me as His child.
And it is enough.
And it is enough,
And I am free
and I am free
to respond
to respond
to his love
to His love
by loving freely.
by loving freely,
Whether my mother is angry or not.
whether my mother is angry or not.
Breathe. I give myself permission to accept.
I give myself permission to accept.
I always loved my dad.
I always loved my dad.
I always wanted him to be better,
I always wanted him to be better,
but I loved him.
but I loved him,
Even when she said he was bad,
even when she said he was bad.
I loved him.
I loved him.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing my dad was bad.
I forgive myself for believing my dad was bad.
Bad like a 5-year-old would think of as bad.
Yes, like a 5-year old, I was thinking he was bad.
So that later in my life,
That later in my life,
I was attracted to bad men.
I was attracted to bad men
Because I wanted to love them, love my dad.
because I wanted to love them like I would love my dad.
Yeah, I needed to love them, and I was told he was bad, so I looked for a bad man.
I needed to love him, and I was told he was bad, so I looked to love bad men.
And I did it repeatedly.
And I did it repeatedly
Wow. Until I proved my mom was right.
until I proved my mom was right.
And that until I supported her anger in my body.
Until I supported her anger in my body.
And then breathe. I give myself permission to accept.
I give myself permission to accept.
As a 5-year-old, my dad wasn't bad. He was my dad.
As a 5-year old, my dad was not bad.
He was my dad,
He was my dad,
and I wanted to love him.
and I wanted to love him.
And then breathe. I forgive my mom
I forgive my mom
for for not for not wanting me to love my dad as a dad who I could love.
for wanting me to love my dad,
Not wanting me to love him unless I knew he was bad.
for not wanting me to love him unless I knew he was bad.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
my husband has to be bad
my husband has to be bad
for me to flow so that I can flow the love that I couldn't give my dad.
so that I can flow the love that I couldn't give my dad,
Even though my husband is not bad.
even though my husband is not bad.
He's, yeah, he's just my husband and he loves me.
He's just my husband and he loves me.
And then breathe. I I ask God
I ask God
to reconnect the love
to reconnect the love
between me and my father
between me and my Father
without the messy judgment my mother put in my head.
without the messy judgment my mother put in my head.
And then breathe. Yeah.
I think I'm doing the same with my children.
Yeah. Yeah, because the I want to say the blockage occurred when you were 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were freely loving when a man showed himself to be bad. You were totally
Yes.
attracted, like it was an attraction. And your head was saying, no, but you were attracted. And he didn't change. He was still bad. And then you had to remind yourself, oh yeah, I can't love my dad. I can't love this bad person. But I'm still attracted because my soul has been longing to love my dad. I didn't want to hear the bad story about him. And he wasn't bad for you. He was a bad husband, right? He wasn't a bad.
Mhm. Right.
He
Well,
didn't.
my mom told me he forgot to pick me up a couple of times from the daycare. So she was also telling me that he was bad for me as well, that he didn't care about me.
Right. And what you had no reason not to believe that. But at the same, so that meant for yourself as a 5-year-old, I can't love him, but I'm loving him. And so I feel all like this unfinished motion of love because I want so badly to love him, but now I've got the scoop on him and I can't. So of course I'm going to grow up and find somebody who can fill the shoes of whatever I thought was bad as a 5-year-old so that I can, you know, yeah, so I can unleash, I mean, that love automatically just pours out. So then I get a husband who's not bad, and even children who aren't bad, right? I have people in my
Right.
life who are not bad, and I'm not able to connect to them because this disconnect at age 5 put my soul searching to connect for the missing piece. And if you're not bad, you don't qualify for that from me. I can't, it won't flow. And the other thing is because when I loved my dad, I then found out he was bad. So now I'm holding back. I can't because I don't trust myself and because I'm not comfortable with people who I think are good because I thought my dad was good and she told me he wasn't. So now people in my life who show up who I know are good, they're suspect for the 5-year-old. Uh-oh, that means the people I think that are good are actually bad. So the people I think that are good, that I truly want to be with, I can't love because my mom's angry at them, at my dad, really. They're not angry at. So I forgive myself for believing my mother is angry with my husband, my good husband, and my good children. That's it. Yeah.
I
I
forgive my mother for
forgive
believe.
myself
I forgive myself
believing
for believing
that my mother is angry
that my mother is angry
and harshly judging
and harshly judging
my good husband and my good children.
my good husband and my good children.
And breathe.
When I said I'm doing the same with my children, I didn't mean that I don't love them enough.
Right.
I think I'm a little even maybe overbearing for my children. I love them too much.
Yes.
What I'm saying is I think I'm creating the same situation between them and their father that my mom did. The thing is, I have 3 sons, and my 2 oldest sons, they're my husband's stepchildren.
Yeah.
And they never had close relationship, even though we got married when they were very little, and I thought that's perfect time. They don't remember their biological father, so they think of my husband as their dad, but he was never cordial towards them and
Except,
loving, and
right, but
that 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 really hurt my heart. And
so I forgive myself I forgive myself for everything I did
I forgive myself for everything I did
that got in the way
that got in the way.
of my husband being a loving, connected stepfather.
Let me start from the beginning. I am forgiving myself for everything I've done
that may have
um,
that may have gotten in the way.
that may have gotten in the way of my husband being a loving stepfather that he could be,
Right, that he could feel good enough to be
that he could feel good enough to be
by my real high standards.
by my real high standards.
And then breathe. And I forgive my children
I forgive my children
for believing
for believing
that they had to avoid real closeness with their stepdad
that they had to avoid real closeness with their stepdad
um, because of the anger I still felt with their birth dad.
because of the anger I still felt because of their birth dad. No, wait a minute. Do you think it came from me?
I think you're a part of it.
Because
That's
they were very open towards him,
right.
but
I'm
I
saying from
did.
an energetic place, they
Okay,
spent your anger with their birth father. And
okay,
in their mind, they have to say, this guy is our dad. But they feel, even if it's not said, the anger that you feel because their birth dad couldn't be their dad or wouldn't be.
okay.
So that's part of, so I need you to say, I forgive myself for holding anger
I forgive myself for holding anger
with the fathers of my children, with the birth fathers of my children.
with the birth father of my children.
Yeah, I forgive myself for holding anger because he, yeah, he wasn't interested in being a father.
Yes, he was not.
He was what?
Um, he was not interested in being their father. He just, yeah.
Right. So he's just like your dad.
Yes,
Kids are more important than family.
yes.
Yeah,
It wasn't friends. It was other women that were more important.
yeah, yeah. Well, those would be friends because he was married. Was he married to you or just with you?
He was no, he was married to me. Yeah, we were
Yes.
married.
So those are friends. Those are, yeah, those women, they're friends. They're not wives. So, all right. So I need you to say, I forgive myself
I forgive myself
um, for believing it was bad for me to love my children's father.
for believing it was bad for me to love my children's father.
And then breathe. Yeah. I give myself permission to accept.
I give myself permission to accept.
There is good and bad in every person.
There is good and bad in every person.
And there was good in my children's father.
There was good in my children's father,
And I see it in their life.
and I see it in their lives,
And I can love them
and I can love them
even when they look like him.
even when they look like him.
And then breathe. I forgive my husband for not being my children's birth father.
I forgive my husband for not being my children's birth father.
And breathe. Yeah, I forgive my children's birth father for cheating and breaking my heart.
I forgive my children's birth father for breaking my heart, for cheating on me.
And then breathe. I forgive myself
I forgive myself
um, and every part of me
and every part of me
that needed my children's birth father in my life
that needed my children's birth father in my life
so that I could have my children
so that I could have my children,
and so that I could be free to love like I couldn't love at age 5.
so that I could be free to love like I couldn't love at age 5.
And then breathe. Yeah, I give my children's birth father permission
I give my children's birth father permission
to receive my gratitude
to receive my gratitude
for all that he gave me.
for all that he gave me.
He proved to me that I could love,
He proved to me that I could love,
that it was okay to love my dad,
and it was okay to love my dad
and without, um, yeah, without, yeah, without giving up on love.
without giving up on love.
Um, and then breathe. Wow. What else do I have to do with that guy? Does he even see his boys at all?
No, he completely removed himself from their lives. They don't even remember him.
So, well, they don't remember him consciously, but they know they have a birth dad somewhere.
Yes, they do. What can I do to help my kids? To, you know, to not have that problem that I have right now.
So we're going to say, I give my children permission
I give my children permission
to love their birth father
to love their birth father
and their stepfather
and their stepfather
and themselves,
and themselves,
even if I'm angry or not.
even if I'm angry or not.
And then breathe. I give my children permission
I give my children permission
to accept
to accept
uh, their birth father for who he is
their birth father for who he is
and to um, love him for who he is.
and to love him for who he is.
Because without him, I wouldn't have a relationship with them.
Because without him, I wouldn't have a relationship with them.
And so for that, I am very grateful.
For that, I'm very grateful.
And I give them permission to love him and every part of themselves
And I give them permission to love him in every part of themselves
that is like him.
that is like him.
And then breathe. And that makes me very happy.
And that makes me very happy.
And breathe. Oh, that feels better. Okay. So let me go to how are you feeling?
Um, I'm feeling like something wants to come out.
Yeah. From your, is it on your body anywhere?
My throat.
On your throat. Okay. So is it words that you need to say to your dad? How about I loved you?
Trying to understand what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
It also may be words I think it's dad, but it could be words you need to say to your children's father.
I am not angry at my children's father. I'm thankful for
Good.
good good genes he gave them, and we actually talk about that with them. They're very athletic, and I tell them that's from your dad.
That's awesome. So say, I love you to your dad.
I I am more concerned that maybe I was the reason that they don't have a good relationship with their stepdad, and although they had a father figure in their life,
Right.
but they were not close, they're not connected, and I feel like especially my middle son,
Yeah.
um, he really needs that connection. He was telling me himself that he feels like he's missing something in his life, but he doesn't know what because he never, you know, he doesn't remember his biological father, so he doesn't know what he's missing, but he feels he's missing something, and
Yes.
he's my rebellious one.
Right.
So I
But he
can tell like there is a problem, but I don't know exactly how to fix it.
so I feel like, yeah, he feels like something's missing, but he's rebellious to himself. That's who he's rebelling against. He's rebelling against his birth father, and that's him. Like his part of him that is birth dad. Um, and that's why he's rebelling against what's missing in his mind. All right, so I need you to say, I love you, Dad.
I love you, Dad.
I love you so much.
I love you so much.
You were a good dad for me,
You are a good dad for me,
and I forgive you for hurting mom.
and I forgive you for hurting mom.
And thank you for being my dad.
And thank you for being my dad.
Breathe. Um, I want you to say, how about what's your husband's name?
Dean.
Dean?
Dean. Yeah, Dean. Dean.
Dean. I need you to say, I love you, Dean.
I love you, Dean.
I love you so much.
I love you so much.
You are worthy of more love.
You're worthy of more love.
I am grateful for all that you could give to my sons.
I'm grateful to all you could give to my sons.
And please forgive me
And please forgive me
for not always being able to show you love.
for not always being able to show you love.
And then breathe. How's the throat? Is it the same still?
It's better.
Better?
Yeah, it's a little better. This is where I always feel pain when I get, emotional. It's my throat.
Yeah. Yeah. So I need you to say, I say yes
I say yes
to this, wow, to this rebellion against love.
to this rebellion against love.
And I call it up and I release it
I call it up and I release it
from my body, mind, and spirit.
from my body, mind, and spirit.
And then breathe. I say yes
I say yes.
to the loyalty it's your second son,
Yeah, my second son.
the loyalty my second son has for me,
The loyalty my second son has for me.
and his acting out of rebelliousness to love.
He's acting out of rebelliousness to love,
And I call it all up
and I call it all up
this loyalty and this rebelliousness,
his loyalty and his rebelliousness,
and I release it
and I release it
from the soul of our family
on the soul of our family,
to God's love and mercy.
to God's love and mercy.
And then breathe. Wow. Ah, that feels better. How's your throat?
Oh, it feels much better.
Good. And then if you think about your husband, are you feeling warmer?
Yes,
A
yes.
little more like, which I'm sure you probably have those moments, but then you can't sustain it or something. I think you start to like move into that moment with him. The subjective units of distress is with this shutdown of love is, oh good, it's a 0. So that's better. And then subjective units of elation with the shutdown, oh yeah, that's the one we wanted at a 0. It means that your brain doesn't see a benefit to having that love shut down. So it's opening it up. And then stage of healing is stage 6, which is a light emerging. Wow. And then, yeah, that's
Mm,
weird. That's good.
great. Thank you. After actually our session when I took my mom to your office, it helped me a lot too because I actually had a talk with my middle son, and I told him, I said exactly what you told my mom. I said, you are not missing anything because you have everything to be happy in your life. And the reason you felt like you were missing something is because of my guilt. And
Yes.
because of what happened between me and your dad, your biological dad. And I said, I'm removing that guilt. I don't feel guilty anymore because you have a happy life. You have everything. And I want you to know and understand that. I hope
Wow.
that helped.
That did. That's so good. That may be why this just flowed really beautifully.
I
Wow.
just feel like he is like me. He feels incapable of loving. And
Yes.
that hurts my heart so much seeing that. And I am open with him about that. I told him, I want you to be happy in life, like with your wife, with your relationships, with other people. And if you don't feel love, you won't be able to be really happy.
Right. I mean, we are here. The way we're supposed to operate is to flow love. And when we can't love, when we're stuck there, there's so much pain and dysfunction that starts to happen because it's not just about receiving love, it's about being able to actually give and give and give. That's the maturity of love, is when I know that it's infinite and I can just pour forth, I can give it. And I don't have to judge it. I don't have to judge myself when someone can't receive it. That I just want to know that it's like breathing, that I'm put here for that purpose and I can do it. And I can do it uh, and feel good about how it's like, that whole like breathing, that I took a deep breath and let it out. And it's love. And it's love.
Is there anything else I can like do for my son to help him to unblock that thing? I don't know. I can't find the right word for it.
Yeah, I
That
would, the thing that he says, I feel like something's missing. I would just, you were right. It's you feel that way because of my guilt with your birth dad. But the other thing I would say is it's your birth dad that is missing, and he really is missing, right?
right?
So if I'm going around thinking, I somehow innately know something's missing, but I'm not going to say my birth dad because I don't even remember him, so it can't be him. So then I start trying to say, I don't even know what it is that's missing. But I tossed my birth dad out as the thing, it can't be him, but I would say it is him that is missing. And when you like reconcile with, I'm allowed to take in the love that my dad had for me because he didn't only have rejection. He's
Yeah.
not the only person, everybody has good and bad. So I'm going to allow myself to love him for who he is so that my brain knows he's not missing. The
Okay.
reason my brain thinks something is missing is because I haven't, because my dad is missing, and because I don't remember him, but he was significant to my mother. So there's some knowledge of him and the energy of him. It's the way to bring your dad into your life is to love him, to
Okay.
bring what is missing back into his life, is to really find a path to love and feel grateful for the dad who is missing. Because if he wasn't missing, you would be able to do that conceivably. Your brain will see your dad. He must be here because he feels grateful for him. He must exist because he is loving him. He is showing gratitude and honor. Honor is another big word for dad. He's going to show honor and gratitude to the man who helped make him. And when his brain is doing that, his brain goes, oh, he must not be missing. Because if he wasn't there, if there was some missing person, my brain wouldn't be giving him honor. So it's a
Okay.
way of getting the brain to resolve the missing person.
Okay. What
And
about his stepdad? How can he?
the other thing, it's a weird, there's a thing you can do when you say, you actually posture yourself. Like if he had a picture of his dad, and this sounds really weird, or if he just visualized a picture of his dad, or imagined my dad is standing in front of me, and because he's my father, he came before me, and I'm going to bow to him. So to actually bow your body to someone causes a new connection to happen between them and you. And
Okay.
it's totally appropriate that children bow to their parents, to their grandparents, to those who are above them because we were born sooner. So
Okay.
that's kind of, you know, that would be something he could do to help his brain realize, like once his brain catches on, he's bowing to the missing person must be back because the brain doesn't know dad's not standing there.
Yeah.
So it allows him to start to say, I don't feel like something is missing. The other thing is the whole idea of bowing to a parent, it actually releases or it opens you up to receive what the parent has put into you, which is a
Okay.
good, which is a very good thing. That's one reason when we were doing some of your statements with your dad, I said I bow to my dad.
Yeah. I
So
remember that.
but I would actually say to your son, and I really feel very, very strongly that what is missing is actually his father. How old was he when he saw his father?
Uh, 18 months old. He saw
Yeah,
him for the first time.
right. So an 18-month-old, even though he doesn't remember, at 18 months, if you went back in time and he saw himself with his dad, he'd be like, I knew my dad. I knew who he was. So 18-month-olds know the people in their life. So there was like, that means he was aware enough to know there was some kind of a connection and relationship, and now it's gone, and I can't understand. I don't, so now there's something missing. But the truth is, it really, your dad is missing. He's been missing since you were 18 months old. However, he lives on in you. But what you want to do is like trick the brain into believing that you understood what happened, which is I'm going to bow to my dad. I'm going to like honor the relationship by bowing to him and receiving all that he had for me so that so that my brain catches on that I do have a dad that was a birth father and that he did go missing, but that it was supposed to happen that way. The brain will be, I'm the brain isn't going to be, oh my, like the 18-month-old who's going, where is that man I know?
Yeah.
There's something different about this situation and somebody's missing. So he's 18 months and that's what he's going through. Now he's grown up and he's going, something's missing. It is. There is something missing. Your dad went missing when you were 18 months old. The problem is you actually did know your dad when you were 18 months old. If he would have walked into a room a month later, you'd have known who he was.
Yeah.
He would have been there. So the trick is to actually realize the thing that's missing is my brain is in this 18-month-old kind of trauma that it says one day this man is here and the next day everybody's here, but he's not here and he never shows up. So something is missing. So the 18-month-old is trying to, in its brain, trying to figure out, why is he missing? Something is missing. I know. I don't know why it's missing. I don't know how to get it back. It seemed like it was vital. It makes sense when he's 18 months old.
Yeah.
So that's why he kind of feels like a kind of an intensity and a little bit of a panic, because it's like he's stepping into a post-traumatic picture where dad went missing. And he's too young to like understand all of it, but he knows who dad is.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
so dad is what went missing. He needs to like, I would say that to him real easily. There is something missing. Your dad went missing when you were 18 months old. The reason he went missing is because you did actually know him.
Okay.
And your little soul was searching for him, even though we didn't know that, because we're just taking care of you as an 18-month-old.
Okay.
So
Is
that's what his soul is searching for. It's the 18-month-old who's searching for the missing person that he felt some connection to, and then it was just gone. And nobody talked about it. Nobody mentioned it.
Could it be that he doesn't have a good relationship with his stepdad because he's afraid of it?
Yes.
Afraid of the pain again?
Because it'll go missing again.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, he could use EPT, but if you're just going to talk to him, that's what I would say.
Okay.
That he's got a post-traumatic stress from 18 months where dad was there and then dad was missing. And that's what's missing. It's not a secret, except there's a part of you that goes into 18 months and is like a little bit traumatized with the missing person.
Well, it's a little different. It's not like he had known him for 18 months. No, he was born without him because I left my ex-husband when I was 5 months pregnant with him.
Yeah.
Um, and then he came to see him for the first time when he was 18. I don't know what took him so long to come see his son,
When he was
but
18 months.
yeah, that was the first time he saw him,
Right.
and he just
Well,
spent several days and he left, and that was it.
and I'll tell you, midwives will tell you that babies know their dads.
Okay.
So that's what I would be like, okay, you have a super perceptive kid there. And it's easy to say, to assume that it didn't, and another kid might not have been affected that way, but I'm thinking your little guy was.
Yeah.
So maybe he was looking from the time he was born for dad. And then when he finally connected, and then dad was gone.
He really wanted to connect with his stepdad too when he was little, but his stepdad was not very open at that time. He was going through
Right.
a
So
rough patch himself, and
so
that kind of like shut him off. So now the stepdad wants a relationship, but this guy is shut down.
yes. Well, and yeah, so he's got trauma, but that's what's missing here. I'm going to hit my record button so this doesn't go on too